Autumn's lurking just round the corner, so today on Sophie's Carefree Kitchen we're going to be making a cider press. So there are various things we need to do, and most of it I got out of the cupboard at home of offcuts that I had lying around. So if you could do the same, then great. If not, then you probably want to go down to your local hardware store and get some 2x4 in a few lengths, and then you'll be able to make your frame. You also need to have some plywood to make the press, and some buckets for the pressing. First we're going to start off with getting our buckets ready. So what we need to do is take one bucket and drill some holes in the bottom. Now to mark it out, you can see that I've made a cross in the centre at the bottom, and then I've used my ruler and I've used the centre of the cross to go around and mark off 16 sections around the edge. Then using my Sharpie or any other permanent marker that you might want to use, I've gone round holding it on the side like this, and I've marked dots off and then made them into crosses to make them easier for drilling. And then I've gone around again a bit further out this time, about an inch, and offset the crosses with the original ones. And now this is ready to be drilled. Okay, for the structure what we need is 4 bits of wood, that are tall enough to clear the top of the bucket. Okay, so we've got a bit of a clearance here. Then we need 2 more for the upright bit. These need to have a clearance of the second bucket. Okay, so we need 2 that size. We need 2 cross beams like this to rest our tray on later, and then we need 2 bits to go across the top as well, so it looks a bit like this in the end. Now the way that I'm going to put it together, using the things that I already had in the house, is I'm going to screw down these 2 cross beams, and then you can see that I've drilled some holes which match up with the uprights. Okay, so those are going to have bolts through them, and then I'm also bolting the top piece. I find bolts give a bit extra strength than the screws, so that's why I'm mostly using bolts. Okay, let's put it together, shall we? And there you go, that's what it looks like. Okay, let's move on. Okay, the next thing we need to do is get our press ready. Okay, so what I did was I looked around the kitchen for items that were the same size as the inside of the bottom of the bucket, and I found this. Okay, so I'm going to use it to draw around to make my circles. Now we're ready to cut them out. Now when I cut out mine, all I had was a tenon saw, which made life pretty tricky. But if you have a jigsaw or a bandsaw or any other kind of saw that's a bit easier, then please use that one. Now you can see I've got my 4 circles, and what I need to do now is glue them together. Make sure that you have some G-clamps on hand ready and some suitable wood glue. When you glue your circles, you need to make sure they're free of dust and any other dirt. And then what you need to do is make sure you go all the way around the edge with your glue. And then make sure you go across the middle as well to make sure it adheres well. Then you need to layer up your circles as if you were making a Victoria sponge. once you've layered up all your circles, then you need to clamp them together. Try and make sure they're all lined up nicely. The more clamps you have, the better. Okay, now we need to leave that for the 24 hours usually with any kind of wood glue, and then we'll come back tomorrow, sand off the edges, and then it'll be ready to use as a press. Now when you've had your disc clamped for about 24 hours, it should be dry, and then you can sand off the edges, make it nice and smooth, make it nice and round, and then that bit is ready. There's a few other things that you're going to need. First thing is you need a drip tray. Now you can see I've drilled just one hole in the bottom, and then your bucket with the holes that will go inside, drain into the bucket, and then it'll go from that hole through into the bucket below. And then the last thing you need is a car jack. Right, this is what it's going to look like. Then you put your apples inside the bucket, put your pad on top, and then your car jack goes in, and then you can pump it, that'll crush the apples, drain the liquid, and then you have the basis for your cider. Okay, now there's a few things that I've learned during making my cider press that I think that you could benefit from. Firstly, buy all your stuff at the same time. So I found it incredibly hard to find a drip tray that would fit my bucket because I bought the bucket first, and it's a bit of an unusual size. So buy them at the same time. Also, don't cut your wood until you've checked everything. So I bought my car jack last, and it's going to be a bit tight. So I could have done with more clearance, but I was trying to save on space and weight. And if you remember from the beginning, I've been using scrap wood that I had lying around. So it's automatically easier if you buy some new wood, but then you're not recycling, and we all like a bit of recycling. So just another consideration to make. And that is how you make a cider press.